Chandler. And today I am going to be teaching how to do the Pythagorean theorem. It's a hard word. And this is from section 10.3. So first we're going to start with the formula. We use the Pythagorean theorem for finding a certain side on a triangle. So our formula is going to be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And so basically, say we have a triangle. This is the angle. The opposite, the hypotenuse, is going to be c, and then the sides are going to be a and b. So just remember the c squared is always the hypotenuse, which is the opposite of the angle. So let's start off with an example. We're gonna have, let's do A. We have a triangle that looks like this. Then we have B, triangle that looks like this. You have 1, 1, and x. So we have our formula, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, for this one, we're going to take a, we're going to square it, so it's going to be x squared plus, remember that 2 is the hypotenuse, so it's not b, so 1 is our b, so we're going to have 1 squared equals c, the hypotenuse, is the angle, 2 squared. Oh goodness. So now we're going to solve for x to try to figure out what this side is. So we want to do x squared, you can't change anything about that. 1 squared is just 1 times 1, so that's 1. And then we have 2 squared, which is 4. Now you're like, oh, what do we do now? So we've got to move this 1 over, subtract the 1. So we'll have x squared equals 3. Now you're like, oh, some people mess up and they stop here and they say, oh, the answer's 3. But no, x squared is 3 and we're trying to find x, so we got to get the square root of that. So then we see that x equals 3. We're done with that one. So we can erase this one, so we'll have more room to work our other one. This purple does not erase very easily. Alright, so now we have b. It's the same thing. We're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So our a is going to be 1 squared, plus, not x, because that's the hypotenuse, it's the opposite of the angle. So 1 squared plus 1 squared equals x squared. And so we say 1 times 1 is just 1 plus 1 equal x squared. And then we do 1 plus 1, add those together, so it's 2 equals x squared. And we've got to keep going, can't stop there, because we're looking for x. So we get the square root of x squared, square root of 2. Can't solve that, there's no square root of 2. So our answer is just x equals the square root of 2. And we're done with that one. Now with the Pythagorean theorem, they're not always going to be quick, or they're not going to be that quick to work out. There's going to be more complex ones. So this next one we'll do a more complex problem for this, so that we know that we're not just memorizing it, we know how to apply the formula. So let's say our angle goes like this. And our angle is up here, and we have, that's not the best triangle, but this is math class, not art class, thank goodness. We have x here, we have 2x, and we have 25. So this one you might be thinking, oh, that's a hypotenuse, but remember we're looking for the angle. The opposite of that is a hypotenuse. So we still have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So our a is going to be the x, so we have x squared plus 2x squared equals 25 squared. This is x squared. 2 squared is 4, so that's going to be plus 4x squared equals 25 times 25, which is going to be 625. Then we see that we have 1x squared, there's an understood 1 here, and then we have a 4x squared. So we have to add those together, add like terms, so we have 5x squared equals 625. Now this time we don't need to just find the square root, we have to get rid of this 5, so we're going to divide 5, and 5 into 625 is going to be 125, so we're going to have x squared equals 125. And even though we need to find the square root of it, and even though there's not a square root of 125, we don't want to just put 125, we want to break it down to the lowest it can be. So we have 125, and what's a prime number that can go into that to break it down? We have 5. 5 into 125 is 25. And then what can go into that is the prime number again, 5. So we have 3 5s, and so we need a group of 2 to go inside the square root, and then whatever's left goes on the outside. So x is going to be, we have 2 5s, and then we have another 5, so x equals 5 square root of 5. And that's it for that one. So we're gonna erase these. And there's more, we're gonna do some problems like the ones we did at the beginning, but we're gonna add some higher numbers into them this time. This one we added an x and number, and now we're just gonna review and add higher numbers like we did in the beginning. Okay, so we have, remember our formula, always remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So let's review with some bigger numbers like the beginning problems. So we're gonna have triangle, it's gonna look like this. Like kind of like a little slice of pizza. If you wanna look at it that way, get imaginative. This side we're gonna have 7. This side we're gonna have 24. And this side is gonna be x. Now if you remember, always remember the opposite of the angle is going to be the hypotenuse, and that's going to be c squared. So we have 7 squared plus 24 squared equals x squared. Some people might just say x squared equals 7 squared plus 24 squared, but I'm going to keep it in the order of the a squared plus b squared plus c squared since we're just now learning it, so we don't get confused. So just remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we know 7 squared is just 7 times 7, so it's 49. This one, more than likely use a calculator for, you can work it out if you need to, but I already know that 24 times 24 is 576 equals x squared. So we don't have any x's to worry about like we did in the problem before, so we know just add 576 plus 49. 9 plus 6 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 8 plus 4 is 12. 5 plus 1 is 6. So it's 625. Sorry, someone called me. 625. So let's erase that so we don't get confused. So x squared equals 625. Get the square root of x, square root of 625. And this one actually works out, and we can do x equals 25. And that one worked out nice and easy for us, so we didn't have to break anything down like we did before. And we have one last example. We can do one that's not gonna work out so pretty. Triangle. We have 8 x. We have 17. We have x squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. And then we have x squared plus 8 times 8, 64 equals 289. Gonna subtract that 64. Subtract that 64. And this one actually does come out even, my bad. And so you have x squared equals 225. Get the square root. Square root of 225 is 15. X equals 15. And that is Pythagorean theorem. I hope this helped, and thank you for watching.